Bonjour YouTube, welcome back to our channel. We are in Paris today and we are going to be taking you to the Museum of History of Judaism. On y va. The Museum of Art and History of Judaism occupies Hôtel de Saint-Aignan in the Marais district of Paris. The building was built between 1644 and 1650 for Claude de Même, Comte d'Avaux, by the architect Pierre Lumuet. This is the architect who worked to finish Val de Grâce, which we visited last year, and highly recommend you to check out that episode if you haven't yet. In 1688, it passed to Paul de Beauvier, Duc de Saint-Aignan, whose name it still carries. By the 20th century, the building had been carved up into workshops for Jewish immigrant artisans, and during the Second World War, many of its residents were deported.
Just past the entrance vestibule rises the Escalier d'Honneur, where the section titled Être Juif à Paris, or Being Jewish in Paris, in 1939 unfolds.
The city of Paris bought the building in 1962 and then restored it. The museum opened here in November 1998. Its collection now runs more than 12,000 works, making it the third largest of its kind in the world, after the Israel Museum in Jerusalem and the Jewish Museum in New York. Today, we'll be seeing some of them.
The first floor opens with Jerusalem itself, chosen by King David as his capital more than 3,000 years ago and the site of Solomon's temple. The second temple was raised by the Romans in the year 70. The Jews were driven from the city in the year 135. From that point on, Hebrew was set apart as a sacred language, while everyday life was lived in Aramaic and later in the diaspora languages Yiddish, Judeo-Spanish, Judeo-Arabic. The relief here shows an idealized Jerusalem, gates and processions included, carved as a gift from the Jewish community of Warsaw to the Baron Maurice de Hirsch. De Hirsch was a philanthropist who helped thousands of Eastern European Jews flee the pogroms by organizing their immigration to Argentina.
Close by is a Torah scroll written on gazelle's skin. Its calligraphy is unmistakably Spanish, likely the work of a scribe who'd fled the Iberian Peninsula for the Ottoman Empire. Medieval Paris Jews first lived on Ile de la Cité before Philippe Auguste's expulsion of 1180 pushed them onto the left bank. Jewish law required burial away from housing, so their cemetery sat beyond the city's wall, near today's Rue de la Harpe and Rue Hautefeuille. It closed for good with the expulsion of 1306 and was never revived during the brief return of the Jews in the 14th century. In 1849, workmen digging the cellars of the Hachette bookshop on the Rue Pierre Sarrazin uncovered a remarkable set of fragments from that same cemetery. Following the Ashkenazi custom, they stood upright at the head of the grave, deliberately undecorated, carrying only a Hebrew epitaph. Deposited at the Musée de Cluny from 1854, this remains the largest archaeological ensemble of its kind, found anywhere on French soil. We've done an episode on Musée de Cluny last year, and we think you would really like it. We've left the link in the pinned comment.
Next is the Italian room with the single most important object in the collection, the Holy Torah Ark of Modena. Carved, painted, and inlaid walnut, it was given to the synagogue of Modena in 1472 by a certain Elhanan Raphael, son of Daniel. It is the oldest wooden Aron Kodesh Torah Ark known to survive anywhere.
Despite its date, the piece already leans towards the Renaissance and is attributed to Cristoforo Canozzi da Lendinara, an artist working for the Este family, a mark of just how well integrated Italy's Jews were at the time. It belonged to Isaac Strauss, born in Strasbourg in 1806, who spent his working life as the official chef d'orchestre of Napoleon III's court balls, and later of the opera's own masked balls. He is an ancestor to the anthropologist Claude Lévi-Strauss. From his retirement in 1872, Strauss traveled Europe assembling one of the very first great collections of Judaica. In 1890, La Baronne Charlotte de Rothschild gave the whole collection to the Musée de Cluny. It's been on deposit here, forming the core of the museum ever since.
The next room follows Jewish life from cradle to grave. Boys are circumcised at 8 days old, the Brit Milah, marking Abraham's covenant with God. At 13 for boys, 12 for girls, the child becomes a full member of the community as bar or bat mitzvah, literally son or daughter of the commandment. A set of 4 paintings attributed to Marco Marcola shows these rites as they were practiced in the 18th century northern Italy.
In his wedding scene, the Christian guests wear black hats and the Jewish men the red ones, a distinguishing mark Jews were required to wear. At the end of the ceremony, the groom breaks a glass in memory of the destroyed temple. A case of ornate gold wedding rings from Germany and Italy carries the Hebrew inscription Mazal Tov. Some are shaped like tiny houses for the new home the couple was about to share. Mourning, meanwhile, centers on the Kaddish, a prayer for the soul of the dead that first appears in the medieval period, recited for a year and then on every anniversary.
The next room follows the Jewish calendar, starting with the weekly rhythm of Shabbat. From there, the room moves through the festivals, oil lamps of every style for Hanukkah, hand-lettered parchment scrolls of the Book of Esther for Purim.
Its centerpiece is a dismountable wooden sukkah, a tabernacle for the autumn festival of Sukkot, built for a wealthy family near the lake Constance in the mid-19th century. 37 numbered panels fold together into a room painted inside with a view of Jerusalem, its temple wall, and the hills above the lake. It's one of the only handful of painted Sukkot to survive anywhere. The museum spent 30 years searching before finally acquiring its one missing panel in 2018. From here, we turn to Poland, Lithuania, and Ukraine, the world once known as the Yiddishland. These communities were shattered by the pogroms of 1648 to 1657, led by the Cossack hetman Bogdan Chmielnicki. They rebuilt through the 18th century around Hasidism, a mystical popular movement founded by the Baal Shem Tov, literally Master of the Good Name. The Rome's synagogue models were made between 1948 and 1952, and not for this museum at all, but for its predecessor on the Rue de Sol. Behind them stood one man, Leon Frenkiel, a founder of that first museum, who'd spent years before the war documenting synagogues and cemeteries across Eastern Europe while posted in Vilna.
Here, the grand room says Ashkenazi and Sephardi ritual practice side by side, tracing how the same core rites took different local forms across Europe and North Africa. Massacres and forced conversions in Spain in 1391 sent a wave of Jewish refugees to Tlemcen, Algiers, and the coast of Tunisia. The expulsion of 1492 sent a second wave into Morocco and Western Algeria.
This is the part for the Jews in the Ottoman Empire. Suddenly he's interested.
We love how local cultural and visual influences are reflected in the items. You can almost guess which country these could come from.
Back on the French side of the story, we are presented with the last years of Louis XVI's reign. In 1787, La Société Royale des Sciences et des Arts de Metz set an essay competition. Is there a way of making the Jews more useful and happier in France? The prize was shared by 3 winners, including Zalkind Harwitz, all arguing that lifting restrictions on Jews would guarantee their integration. Emancipation itself came with the revolution. Napoleon followed it in 1808 with decrees organizing Jewish worship into a consistorial system, and Bordeaux's synagogue, consecrated in 1812, was the very first built under it. I loved it. The guide, she spoke so much. You could see because she's a practicing Jewish woman. She knew exactly what she was talking about. So, highly recommend this museum, especially if you're interested in Judaism. It's very interesting. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll see you in the next video, and until then, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. We see a lot of people are actually watching us, and they forget to subscribe. It's really easy, and it's free. All you have to do is just click at the bottom. That's it. Until the next one, there are so many people, we have to go. Bye.